Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Please do subscribe, guys, to both channels, EEARTS and also on Evolutionary Energy Arts. There's an awful lot of things going on in the world right now. We were just talking over on Evolutionary about China preparing for war, possible false flag, what's going on, and then something that is really, really creepy crawly that you'll have to delve into at your own risk.
Yes, that's a true statement there.
Yeah, it's like a bad sci-fi movie, but it is actually what's happening out there.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
So we're just going to touch base on this as we see here. Warplanes of the U.S. Navy flying near Taiwan. Very harsh statements. Tension in the region. As you can see here, this is a flyover. That's some air power there, So there's a lot going on. We know September is going to bring a lot of change, astrologically. There's lots of changes coming. Big changes. This is the CCP's PLA forces, live fire exercises on the shores of the Taiwan Strait. And then we see Canada, at the same time, is unveiling a mandatory AR-15 buyback protein. Yeah, they're going to get you to eat your own gun now. Buyback program. U.S. House, as we had said in the other video, passed the assault weapons ban. So at a time when it looks like there's WW3 on the horizon, they're trying to pull from the public all sorts of typical weaponry that would be perhaps usable enough to actually fight off an invading force.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the plan all along, and here it is implementing.
Absolutely. As we say, there's so many crimes against humanity that is happening on the planet. And here you have Governor Hochul over there in New York declaring a state disaster emergency to strengthen the ongoing efforts to confront the Mpox outbreak. Yeah, here we go again.
Blah, blah, blah.
Las Vegas, New Mexico declares emergency with less than 50 days of clean water left.
Oh, no. That's bad.
That is bad. So, for those that don't know, Las Vegas, New Mexico is basically not too far away from Santa Fe. We've done that trip before. You go across the backside of the mountains there, and it's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, with beautiful scenery. Well, they've had some serious wildfires over in the area, and the water has gotten basically poisoned by the wildfire debris. And so it's been tainted, so now they got less than 50 days of drinking water left. I think, unfortunately, we might be seeing more of this type of scenario playing out. Our friend David Devine did a video a couple days ago, and his title was, "They're coming after the drinking water next." Yeah, it's, the food, the drinking water, the very air we breathe. Oh, let me take off one of these 6 masks I got on my face right now. Since we're at home, it's just the two of us. I think I only have to wear 6, right? Well, maybe in BC or California or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awful. And, when we say they, these nameless, faceless beings, entities, bottom feeders, that's exactly what we mean. They're not exactly human, but they are coming.
Take your pick, wildfires or floods, because that's what's happening kind of everywhere. It seems to be one or the other. As you see some aerial photos over in France of burn areas. There's been wildfires in France, in Spain, in Greece, all over, everywhere we look. Here we have an Oak Fire update. Yosemite area wildfire battle reaches the halfway point, but 109 homes have been lost so far. We're going to take a look at the drought monitor, too, and see what's changing, because things are changing. And wildfire burning in western Montana forces evacuations. There's also some wildfires going on in BC where people are being evacuated. And here you have a statement by Inger Anderson on wildfires across Europe, North America, and other parts of the world. And he says, But now it's not so much a told you so moment, it's a moment to act, to stop fires getting worse faster. On humanity's current course, global warming and land use change are projected to increase extreme fires by up to 14% by 2030, 30% by 2050, 50% by the end of the century. But yeah, it's not going to happen because so many things that they've told us when it comes to climate change, they haven't manifested. As we know, Al Gore, hey, both poles are going to be melted. Well, they're not. They're not, Al. Although you sold a lot of books, they're not.
I know. He's still making money. That's the most important thing to them.
Yet, it does happen. It does happen. And when we look to the west coast of India, for instance, and there's a lot of things they got formulating that I want to share with some of our hidden history. You know, there is a city that we've talked of in the past that is submerged, that was obviously above water, but when the poles did melt in the past, as we're in an interglacial period. So, you know, we are basically, well, the Earth is always changing. Climate change is real in the sense that that's the norm. Things change. It cycles. We are not sitting still. Nothing sits still. Everything is always changing. So we go through these different periods of more ice and less ice. You know, when the dinosaurs were here, obviously oxygen was much more abundant and everything was much bigger. And yet, you know, we didn't have all that ice locked up in the poles. All the land masses were totally different. Everything completely changes all the time. But what we have here is just, again, it's the next scapegoat. It's the next catchy phrase that's going to be used to bring about a particular agenda that really doesn't have anything to do with what they're talking about. They do this all the time. It's just about control. It's just about implementing new ways of restricting us and, again, consolidating wealth. So we would, if things were normal, and we didn't have this plague upon the land, the resulting cure, quote unquote, in parentheses, of the plague upon the land, the world would be seeing its population go over 8 billion this year. I personally, we're so close. We're at like 7.988 something. But yet I don't think we're going to go over. They had said we'd be over 10 billion by the end of 2100. That's not going to happen. There's things that have changed the course of the planet that's not natural. That is human-induced. But it's not what they're telling us.
No. I mean, they're just giving us the story that helps them reach their goal.
Absolutely. Don't ever believe your lying eyes. Well, like I said, Cindy, maybe this is a prescribed burn. Maybe they're trying to burn away that stuff that's in the line of the fire so there's no fuel there. And then she said, but do you know how many times that goes awry and it starts a major wildfire? Yeah, I guess so, right?
I mean, since I was a little girl, when there was wildfires up in the mountains, we were always told, well, it was a controlled burn. I hear that so often.
Controlled burn that got out of control, kind of like Nancy Pelosi's drinking.
And even as a child, I knew that was ridiculous, and it's still the same thing.
And her choices with stocks as well. Lake Mead water level falls to 1,040 feet. Dead pool level inches closer. So, again, this is critical. And we have a lack of rain where we need rain desperately. And then we have too much rain where we don't want rain. You would think, because we know there's all sorts of technology out there to induce rains. And it's been admitted, it's been declassified. It doesn't happen. And here you see 46. Climate change doesn't care whether you're in a red state or a blue state. 100-year droughts are threatening farmlands and water sources. Yeah, and you got people that are like your buddy up in Canada trying to stop the flow of fertilizer. And you have your buddies over in the Netherlands and in other areas in Europe. Again, we got the farmers protesting, our buddies, the farmers protesting his buddies waiting to take the farmers' lands. Wildfires out west have burned, destroyed more land than the size of New Jersey. Our national security is at stake. The best thing he could do for national security is step down. That would be a big improvement almost no matter what goes in place, at this point. We know it's all puppet masters. As we see fires in England, France, Spain, Portugal, flooding in New York and India, Bangladesh, waves coming over seawalls in Hawaii, and drought across the southwest. The climate emergency is upon us. Yes, and it does not have to be. Here's actually Drought Monitor. To the left is July 26, 2022. To the right is July 27, 2021. So what do you guys notice? Tell me, what do you see? This, again, to the right is a year ago. To the left is now. Well, it looks a lot worse for Texas. It's starting to creep into southern Missouri and northern Arkansas, and spreading eastward. But actually, overall, I would say that the map on the right looks worse than the map on the left, as far as the deep dark red being the worst color. Yellow is abnormally dry, and then, as we get into the deeper, darker color, the more severe and extreme. So, if I was a CONS piracy theorist, I would think that they want to dry up Texas even more. Maybe they're mad at Texas. Maybe they're mad at Florida. Maybe they're mad at certain states that are trying to push for autonomy. But, it does look like it's not quite as bad as the previous year, I would say.
Yeah, but it still has time to grow.
Well, absolutely. It's just a matter of what planes they're sending up to do what. As we've all seen so many strange crisscross patterns, even seeing them playing tic-tac-toe up in the sky. I don't even think most of these guys realize what they're doing up in those planes. As this is Las Vegas, Nevada, and you do get floods. Cindy's seen this before. And one casino had just rain pouring down straight into the casino. It does happen in the desert. You have these arroyos you got to be really careful of.
Well, yeah, when we look at the desert ground, and if we have a huge downpour, that ground cannot absorb at the rate that it needs to, and that's what causes these floods.
At least 25 lives lost in eastern Kentucky flooding. It was 11 inches of rain in 8 hours, and the record level was smashed by 5 feet in North Fork, Kentucky River area. It's just, again, there's people on this channel, people that are regulars on this channel that know people that lost lives in this situation. And, I guess we're always looking at things suspiciously, and we want to send prayers to everybody out there. But we have reason to be suspicious of things in this world. We really do. Iran raises death toll from mudslides and floods to at least 53. Again, that's a bad situation over there. Why should we be suspicious? Because you got things like this going on. Look at that photo op right there. I can't move. And then, given the perspective, it looks crazy. They're always selling. This world is about sales. Politicians are salespeople. And the media is too. The media is, you don't think that he's being told. Remember that little bonus we were talking about? Yeah, well, go out here, make it look a lot worse than it actually is. You got to question everything in this world.
Yep, just follow the money.
Rhine levels in Germany forecast to drop lower as barges reduce cargo. Yeah, again, the bigger thing going on is making everything just so expensive. I went shopping for a few things yesterday, and now a few things is just an insane amount. There's one item that I've bought that it went from, I want to say a year ago it was $3.99. Now it's at $7.25. So it's like crazy how fast some things are just going up, but we know it's going to get worse because, again, this is part of a plan. And it's an obvious plan to so many. Here we have a hailstorm turning roads in Estes Park into a winter wonderland. I wonder if our friend Zach has got to go out and play in the hail there. And look at what's going on over here in central Iran. This is again talking about those floods. What's it sweeping away? It's sweeping away the flocks. It's just a sad scenario that we see. Everything involved in food and energy, just your basics. They're going after the basics to make it so that everything that you can mount as far as your resources is all going to go to pay for increased food costs and also increased energy costs for basic things like staying warm in the winter, staying cool in the summer. France, by the way, on course for the driest July on record. We have all these records going on both sides. It's extremes. It's whiplash. We actually have an Australian tourist in New Zealand that is in serious condition after falling into a thermal sinkhole. This was a 2-meter wide hole that opened up suddenly because of, perhaps they think it's because of the rains that were in the area that loosened it up, and the woman fell right through into a geothermal sinkhole. Part of the changes undergoing, and again, most of this that we see is stuff that doesn't have to be because we have the technology. Well, LA has the plans to turn your poop water into your drinking water, and that's what they're going to do.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I thought there was something kind of funny about the water in LA.
I'm so glad they got plans.
Yeah, that, and then they're always also talking to us about bioengineered foods. You got to look, too. Let me just do this. So she's going to show you a label. Limited corn flour, palm oil, and salt. But underneath contains bioengineered food ingredients. Learn more. Go to, General Mills. What is that in there? What is that? You don't want to know what that could be. You really don't want to know what that could be. Put it this way. You might be better off eating mealworms and crickets.
Yeah, I mean, the best idea is just don't eat it.
No, and this is why we really don't buy others' processed foods for the most part. There's very few items that we buy that are other than a simple vegetable, a fruit, basics. We have bulk rice, we have bulk lentils, we have bulk beans, we have bulk steel cut oats, we have flours that are, again, everything is organic in bulk. Then we're growing our own veggies. We put in, what did I say, 34 fruit trees and bushes on 2/10 of an acre. We've squeezed it in. Again, going forward, you're not going to be able to trust anything. We've seen, and we could pull it up, but it would demonetize this video too. And at least at this point in time, EEARTS, the commercials in it does pay for like the gas for the month anyway. So it is something. But yeah, they can put your cure, if you know what I mean, for the plague upon the land in that apple, in that cucumber, in that tomato. If you don't know that it has bioengineered ingredients inside of it, you might just be eating bioengineered ingredients, even in things like an apple or a tomato. And I don't know how far along that is. But they put it out there going back years ago that it was going to be to that level. And I think it was actually done along the lines like, well, you don't want to go to the doctor's office to get your ouchie? That's okay. Eat this salad.
I know. I mean, make it something really healthy, too. It's just disgusting.
Wildfires are actually setting off 100-year-old bombs in a World War I battlefield in Slovenia because there's all sorts of wildfires raging and setting off many explosions. It's not just an isolated event. That's craziness. But this is what we have going on all over the place. And one of our family members that we see twice a month, he does utilize the food bank, his local food bank. And he said there was a lot less at the food bank the last time, because more and more people are going to the food banks. So obviously food banks are straining under increased demand. And soaring food costs are sending people that would usually not go. They got to make the decision. Do you think you're going to get organic food at the food bank? Maybe you could still get some now. But again, people in the know are going to be grabbing that up. And what's going to happen is everybody's going to be in the bioengineered stuff. They're going to be in the quote-unquote conventional, which is not conventional. This is the system. The system takes what's natural, puts it in reverse and opposite. You know, so when we look to alternative healthcare, that's the healthcare that was always out there for thousands of years. Then the non-alternative is, you know, it's in reverse. That which nature has given us is our food and herbs and things like that to be our medicine. But yet we push it aside for the artificial. And really, when you look at it, everything about this society and the powers that be, it's all about replacing the natural order of things, the natural way of things, everything that's been given to us by the creator of this universe, and supplanting it with an artificial system that seems to be anti-life. Anti-life in every single way. Anti-life in every way. Just look at it. Look at what it does. It really seems to envy life.
You know, unfortunately, there's so many people that need to get food from the food banks, but we are not completely helpless when it comes to talking to someone about, you know, can we try to get some non-GMO food? If you do talk to someone, it's very well possible that you can get some food that you are not allergic to, that's not going to cause reactions in your body. So it never hurts to ask, and maybe you would open a few doors and help invite people to understand the importance of non-GMO food.
Everywhere you look now, it's insects for our food. And again, we could still be eating the way we did. Absolutely, with no change for a long, long time. And we could do it in a cleaner way, too. We could shift over to where things were much healthier for everything that is part of our food supply and ourselves as well. This is completely intentional. This is completely orchestrated, and I'd say a lot of the world recognizes it at this point. And, you know, we will get to that critical juncture at some point in time. And all the celebrities, you know, they're celebrities because they've already sold their souls to the system. That's how you get to be in these positions. Everybody, they're all pointing out, you know, beetle larvae. You know, beetle larva is mealworms. And again, very highly nutritious, World Economic Forum. You know, again, it's teaching the slaves their place is what it is. U.S. oil giants reap windfall profits. Yeah, when a barrel of oil costs the same as it did a few years back, and yet the gas prices are double, somebody's making a ton of money, and it ain't you and I. And so this is what's going on. 273% jump in profits for Exxon, 247% jump in profits for Chevron. This is huge. Big oil, big pharma, the military-industrial complex, this is how they control everything. Everything. And this is how the slaves stay slaves. And what they want you to do is to accept your position as a slave of the state happily. How are they going to do that? They're going to make your life as miserable as possible. And, you know, once you're used to eating your mealworms and crickets and all sorts of things like that, then if they ever dangled something really yummy in front of you, you're going to have tons of people saying, I don't care, I'll go jump off a cliff.
It's unfortunate, but true.
Absolutely. Wall Street is collapsing. And, this is interesting too. Again, David Devine, he must have been connecting psychically to me and Cindy, because he had talked about what we had talked about. Why is New York City advertising, you better have your bug out bag ready, and then all of a sudden doing a NUKE drill? Well, New York City is basically, Wall Street. That's the center of our banking and our economic system. We know they're all about showy sacrifices. What a showy sacrifice that would be. There was a little thing running too that said the UN was moving to Israel, and I could not verify it. I think it was just BS, or it might have been some sort of leak. Again, because a lot of times things start to trickle out and leak out, and then there'll be something that comes up later that will show there was actually a basis in reality. I could see them moving the banking capital of the world somewhere else. Maybe it won't be in Beijing, even though Beijing might be used as the police force of the world. Maybe the banking capital will be somewhere else. Maybe it'll be centered in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or somewhere towards the center. Maybe it would be in Israel, perhaps. Who knows where they're going to end up deciding to financially control everything from. It could still be Switzerland or something. We don't know, although we do know that NATO and the U.S. as the police force of the global elite is coming to an end as they shift their paradigm. So that article there, is that telegraphing something? And then somebody else had said, look into some sort of looking glass, not Project Looking Glass, but something else, Looking Glass and Zombie Apocalypse, which I didn't see anything on, but I did see this that was kind of creepy. Researchers have turned dead spiders into necrobotic, like necro-robotic grippers capable of lifting items that weigh, actually it shows like 130 to 150 times their own weight. If they could resurrect dead spiders, and this is just creepy, and get rid of the sound and just show you how they use this. Oh man, that reminds me. Okay, it's Raccoon City all over again. Getting the shot, and then all of a sudden, here you go. It's zombie apocalypse. Is it? I mean, they've telegraphed it. There is something to the zombie apocalypse. We have gotten that, again, from the guides, that there is an aspect to it.
Yeah, there's a live air of energy to it.
Yeah, so this is just creepy. And then we got a company that's going to make a real-life Jurassic Park complete with long-extinct woolly mammoths as well. In a bid to tackle climate change. Oh, yeah. There you go. Playing with that DNA. They've always played with the DNA. Again, alien abductions. They always want samples. All sorts of samples. New Zealand taxes farmers for the gas that their cows and sheep release. Yes. I mean, is there some guy that's going to be standing behind the cow with some sort of gauge? Here comes the big one.
I guess jobs for everyone.
Yeah, that's a smelly job.
Indeed.
Just look at the cost of living in 1959. A new house, $12,400. Average income, $5,016 per year. So the average house costs a little bit more than 2 years' income. A car, about half of a year's income, $2,250. Average rent, $97 a month. You see a tuition at Harvard. A movie ticket was $1. Gas was 25 cents a gallon. Postage stamp was 4 cents. And you can see a gallon of milk was $1. Coffee was 95 cents a pound. Goes on. Eggs, 29 cents a dozen. Hamburger, 58 cents per pound. And 20 cents for a loaf of bread.
Very interesting.
Times have changed. How do you like this guy's job? He gets to basically clean up after the pandas, and they play with him all day long. Aren't they adorable? Aren't they cute? Look at them. They just want to hang on. They just want his attention. He's almost dressed like them. He's all in white. He just needs a little bit of black on him. Aren't they cute? And how about this? We would be remiss to think otherwise. Obviously, dogs are man's best friend. But a sheep could be a man's best friend. A pig could be just like a dog. There's many different, and Cindy's had a whole bunch of farm animals in her life. Many different animals that, if they grow up with the dogs, they're going to think they're a dog. They're going to act like a dog. They're going to behave like a dog. They just want to be one of the pack.
They do. Goats and sheep are the best.
Absolutely. Isn't that adorable? Just having a good old time. We should all be playing like them. And look at the joy on this dog that didn't have the use of its hind legs when he gets put up on some permanent back legs there, and is just happy to see everybody run around. We got to have that type of joy. We could have that type of joy. The only thing that's really keeping us from things like that are the system itself, which is so anti-joy, anti-life.
It's just beautiful right there.
As we see, all the fact checkers, you know what? We don't believe. We just don't believe. You could keep throwing all the stuff out you want. We're going to believe what we feel, what we sense, what we know. And they know that because our psychic abilities are waking up. And there might be one person that says psychic abilities. Where are you coming from? Well, why don't you go check out some CIA studies? Why don't you see what the KGB says with their secret programs, studying what is possible in humans with paranormal, quote-unquote, paranormal abilities. Those are our normal abilities. We just basically are living in a world that has made it so the reverse is what we have. Fluoridated water, dumbing down of society, giving us false paradigms. This is going to be how we're all going to be when we get done with the system. We're going to be jumping for joy just like this beautiful pup.
And just be in a really happy space.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for your support on Patreon and also on Ko-Fi. We couldn't do it without your support at those places. Do check out Medicinal Foods. Use coupon code EEA. It does bring you a discount. Much love. Stay prepared for whatever they're going to send our way. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.